What's up, YouTube? It's Australian here. With the release of Heart of the Huntress patch, we have access to this new card, Siren Song, that is just completely insane. Siren Song is a 4-mana card that summons a random husk and grants 1-cost allies everywhere +1/+1. It works retroactively, so if you have any husks or units on the board, it'll buff those as well as the 1-mana units in your deck. Let's take a detailed look at all the cards, but before that, hit that like and subscribe button, please. The goal of this deck is to attack and die with as many units that have increased power, and that includes husks. We accomplish this with Siren Song, which gives all your husks +1/+1, Domination, which gives the husks +1/+0, along with Pale Cascade, Celestial Being, and Targonian Tellstones into Blessing of Targon. Evelynn, Solter, Vora, Steam are just filler units used as blockers, and they're mostly there to help summon husks for our endgame finishes, Kayle and Zolani the Bloodweaver. Kayle gets +1 attack every time a unit with increased power attacks, which should just be about any unit on the board. So we can easily get Kayle leveled up. Once leveled up, Kayle has a double attack and Overwhelm, which makes her a very strong finisher. Likewise, Zolani gets +2/+2 for each ally that died with its power increased. This includes husks that have been powered with Siren Song or Domination. You can easily grow Zolani to a 20/20 unit, and every time it attacks, it converts all other units to Zolanis. Let's talk about how to run this deck. The Siren Song is so OP that we're just going hard mulligan for Siren Song. This deck only runs one 1-mana card, Divine Clerk, but it's never worth playing this card on turn 1. I'll go into detail later when to use Divine Clerk. Instead, on turn 1, we usually just want to pass and pull 1 mana into spell mana. On turn 2, if you have Solter, you can drop him, especially if you're playing against any Jhin or any other aggro deck, which have been pretty popular, especially early on in the patch. Otherwise, just pull the mana into more spell mana. On turn 3, we can Siren Song with the 3 mana plus our pulled spell mana. And from here, it just snowballs. Turn 4, there'll be a husk on the board from Siren Song, which will level Evelynn when she comes down, and turn 5, we can drop Kayle. Turn 6, your goal is to flood the board with the units and kill husks to get Zolani to reach 16 power so that it hits the Empower requirement. From there, you just play Zolani and win the game. Siren Song is so strong that I'm expecting this card to get nerfed in the next patch. Also, going back to Divine Clerk, you really want to use Divine Clerk when you're against an aggro deck, or if you're at low HP. Every time you add a husk, the husks are usually at +1/+2, or maybe even +2/+3. So if you combine 2 of those with your Divine Clerk is usually at 2/3. 2/3 plus a 3/2 plus a 2/2/3s is about like an 8/8 or 8/9. And then you use that to leech, and you're going to be perfectly good and stop the aggro decks. Let's take a look at the game now. Alright, so we are up against Viego Norra. This deck is a pretty slow deck because what it relies on is a ton of units as well as leveling Viego as their win condition. So here, we're not going to worry about that, and we're just going to start ramping up with Siren Song. So you'll notice here that we have the Divine Clerk, but we're not playing the Divine Clerk on turn 1 because it's just not very good on turn 1. It doesn't really do anything. Solter on turn 2, just so we have some presence on the board, and also we only have 1 copy of Siren Song, so that means on turn 3 we have enough mana to play Siren Song. And turn 4, we actually drew into Evelynn and Kayle, so we can play Evelynn on turn 4 and Kayle on turn 5. So the crazy thing about Siren Song is that because of Solter, there's already 1 husk on the board, and now there's actually 2 husks on the board that are both 1/2. So together, that's a +2/+4 stats on Evelynn as a base, which is absolutely crazy on turn 4. And that's permanent too. Here I'm just trying to block some damage, but it really is not that big of a concern. Even I could have not traded that and would have been fine. Yeah, here on turn 4, we already have a 7/9 Evelynn, and we have an evasion husk for our Kayle. The evasion is definitely going to be problematic, especially for this deck, which doesn't run that many. Well, he just lost a vengeance, but it doesn't run that many clears. So, oh wow, and there's impact. So next we're going to drop Kayle, and then that's going to end up doing a lot of damage because it's going to be Evelyn and Kayle are going to have the evasion plus impact. As you can see, this deck easily snowballs once you start running Siren Song. Here, I'm thinking about if I need to challenge any of the units, but I think I end up just going for face. I decided to go for face instead of challenging any of his units because I actually had so much health. I had 18 health that I wasn't really concerned about him lethaling me the next turn. Yeah, here he summons Viego, but if you look at his Viego compared to our Evelyn and our Kayle, he's like so far behind. And not just that, but actually he loses his Viego instantly with Sunburst. I was just checking that the silence, because the silence actually should bring him down to a 6/5, I believe, and then this does 6 damage, which kills him instantly. And I think I probably win next turn here. Right now my Kayle has evasion, so I think it's gonna do 8 damage. The reason why I wanted to actually summon the domination here was because I wanted the husk to come down so that I could get another +1 on Kayle, because I thought it was only going to give a plus, make my damage to 7, but actually it's going to get it to 8. So I did miscalculate here. I could have actually just attacked immediately and I would have had lethal, but it ended up still working out. I didn't realize that Kayle herself actually counted towards Kayle's passive, which is it gets +1 damage for every attacking unit that has a increased power. So here I actually end up getting up Kayle to +8. And yeah, just like that, this deck ramps up so fast and it's so strong. And it's a really fun deck to play. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.